Hey yo, what is up, my good people? It's your boy, Big Chris, aka the Constant Animator, and I am here once again to bring you another dumb as hell video. So, on today's video, we're gonna be talking about The Matrix Resurrection. Now, Matrix Resurrection is a 2021 movie that came out, I want to say on the 22nd. I got a chance to watch it and actually in theaters, and I want to come back with a review for you guys. So, this review is going to be first, I'm gonna start off with some non-spoilers, and then I'm gonna go fully into spoilers on this one. So, before I get to it, um the movie, as far as non-spoilers go, um I will say that this movie is a very interesting one to me, only in the fact that it's probably one that I was excited about, but also very, very hesitant on. This is a movie because I'm a fan of the first Matrix movie and a fan of the Animatrix movie. I knew was going to have a hard uphill battle, and I knew was going to have a problem as far as the other two Matrix movies weren't good. And this was going to be a movie that, in a lot of ways, just was going to have to find its footing and figure itself out. For me, as far as my positives go, I would say the best thing about this Matrix movie would probably have to be that it has a lot of interesting ideas. This movie has some things that was in it that I was like, yo, this is very interesting. I would love to see where it goes. How would they use these themes? How would they use these characters? What were they going to do with Neo in it and everything like that? Especially the way they set things up at the beginning, the way they set things up towards the middle, where they talk about what's happening now with the people in the Matrix, what's happening now with Neo himself, what is he doing now, and the things that he's going. I was very interested in how they talked about what was going on with the robots and the AI that was in the Matrix and stuff, and how those things were being transitioned and used differently and stuff like that. I think that the ideas in this movie was the most interesting and thing that I enjoyed the most about it. But with that being said, that was probably one of the only things I enjoyed about this movie. I thought this movie had terrible pacing. I thought it had a really, really weak story. Characterizations were just pretty bad in this movie. And as well, I think the biggest problem with this movie is that it is just all out boring. Um, the exposition in this movie is pretty bad, and I just sat there through parts of this movie wondering whether or not I wanted to get up and walk out, which is hilarious because I haven't seen this in a long time, but people were literally walking out of this movie, leaving. And that is just something I really wouldn't expect from a Matrix movie because people love the Matrix. I've seen people sit through movies that are 10 times worse than this. And I don't know, it's really, really weird to see people walk out of a Matrix movie. And it was a lot to do with the movie was long. It had a lot of exposition in it, and a lot of it was just all out boring. Um, for me, as far as a star rating would go, I would probably have to say 1.5 stars. Man, it's been a long time since I've probably not have enjoyed a movie to this level. As far as something that I was highly anticipating and something I thought had the possibilities of being pretty damn good. This right here is kind of on the scale of the Godzilla, the last Godzilla movie, not the Godzilla versus Kong, but the one where it was basically the second Godzilla movie. This is probably on the scale of that one. I just seriously did not enjoy this one. So, with that being said, I wanted to do some spoilers on this one because a lot of this movie needs to be talked about in a spoiler range. So, spoiler warning, spoilers are happening. Like I said in a little intro picture, there's some spoilers in this video, plus spoilers. So, yeah, spoiler warning. So, I'm going to leave this little tag up while I'm talking about it. But for me, the biggest thing to talk about in this movie is there is really no reason for Neo to return here. The whole movie is set around the idea that the new Matrix, well, basically, a new Matrix comes in and they re-bring back Neo and Trinity for some reason to that in order for the new Matrix to kind of hold itself together, Neo and Trinity need to be revived and they need to be brought back for some reason. It was a part of this movie where I totally was starting to blank out because it was just so much exposition, but they're being brought back into the Matrix and they brought their bodies back up and all this stuff, and now they're put back into the Matrix. And Neo is constantly trying to kill himself because I don't know if he can't just take being alive in the Matrix or whatever it is, but there is really no reason or no characterization for him here. Um, the people who want to bring him out of the Matrix, I don't remember if there's a reason why they needed to bring him out other than they just wanted to. Like, it wasn't like the Matrix was attacking Zion. It wasn't like they were insistently looking for the one or anything. Like, I don't know. It was very, very weird. Just it felt like the movie itself didn't have a reason itself to be there. It just like they wanted a bunch of things to happen, so they were going to let it happen. I would say the worst thing about this movie is how they use a lot of the characters here. There were characters like the the worst one is Morpheus. They recast Morpheus in a sense of the words, and the guy who's playing him plays him as a total joke for say. Like he doesn't have any of the seriousness, the gravitas of what what's his name of what Lawrence Fishburne had and everything that he was doing in the Matrix movie. This guy playing the Lawrence Fishburne Morpheus character, which his name is I'm not even gonna butcher that. It's like it looked like some African name or something like that. I'm not even gonna attempt to butcher that. But this guy playing him just did not wasn't able to grasp everything that Lawrence Fishburne had, and he played him really jokey and stuff like that. Also he starts off as an agent. He's a part of the Matrix. He's a program. He's an agent, and supposedly agents in this version of the Matrix, I guess, they are like regular other people in the Matrix. They take baths, they exercise, drink coffee, like all the stuff that you don't see or don't even think agents would do in the other movies. They do here, which is insanely weird, and I just couldn't get it past my head of like, yo, why are we doing this to Morpheus? I don't fully understand it. There were other characters like this character right here who her name in the movie was Bugs, played by Jessica Henwick. Um, she was basically, besides Neo, the main character in this movie, the main protagonist. Um, while being interesting, she also came off as very jokey and very goofy as well. She so this movie totally misses the tone of the other Matrix movies, and because they don't bring it in and set you up right and kind of ease you into this new tone, it works very weird. I would also say that the characters and everything that they were doing just were mainly uninteresting because of how heavily this movie relied on its nostalgia. This movie did everything in its power to use every single thing or every single point of the original movies. Everything from talking about deja vu with the cat. There's like an actual cat named Deja Vu in this movie, to actually showing pieces of the old movie in like theater form and stuff like that. Just every time that they could bring up a nostalgic thing with this movie, they would do it. And it wasn't in a way of actually advancing character or, the characters having a memorization of something because it needed to move the plot along or anything in those words. It was all like, yo, look at this. Do you remember that? Oh, do you remember that? And it was just done such a way that it was just boring to watch. And it got even worse when you thought of the exposition that went along with it. this movie has so much exposition because they're trying to tell a story here, which I don't understand if they fully understand it, but somebody writ the story down there like, yo, just say what's on the script and just put it out to the theaters. This movie is heavy with exposition, and not only heavy with exposition, but exposition lines after exposition lines. People just giving exposition dialogue after exposition dialogue, like right after back after back after back. Even during fight scenes, they're giving exposition, and it's just insanely bad. As well as other characters, like they bring back Agent Smith in this movie, just another guy playing Agent Smith, and he's all exposition. Even way worse than you would think because he doesn't have the gravitas or the ability of character as um the guy who used to play Agent Smith. I can't even remember his name. Hugo Weaving. Hugo, like, no one in this cast, even Keanu Reeves and Carrie-Anne Moss, like no one has what they had in the original Matrix movies. And it's very sad to see here that it just feels like, especially with Keanu Reeves, it feels like he just gliding through this just to pick up a check. And it's very weird. Like he feels emotionless throughout this whole movie. Carrie-Anne Moss is kind of the same way. You don't get to see her a lot in this movie as well, and they all feel emotionless. The thing that I hated most about this movie, though, is that what they do with the character of Neo is when they set him in the real world, they put him as, I'm gonna actually go to the part where they're doing this. They put him as a video game creator who's basically created the Matrix, and he's using his past and his memories as part of the idea for the Matrix video game. It could be interesting. Believe me, that could be an interesting idea, especially if you saw the game and you saw people playing it. Maybe there's rooms full of people with VR masks on, and it's kind of mimicking what's in the Matrix, but people not understanding that this is the Matrix world and they're in the Matrix inside of a Matrix. That would be a very interesting idea. You see none of that in this movie. What you instead get is the director, the writers, and everyone looks like they took a bunch of Matrix memes and just stuck them in a very long scene full of fake game devs of people acting trying to be game devs and brainstorming ideas for video games and marketing and stuff like that. And it is just so bad, like insanely bad how they do it in this movie. It got so cringy, and like the end credit scene is basically those fake game devs and marketing devs trying to still pitch something. Like you sit through the end credits just to see that, and it is this movie is really bad. Like, and it's a shame because the Matrix is a good movie. The first Matrix has so much potential. Like there's so many things that you can do with the plot points, storylines, and idea of the original Matrix movie that you can bring on to other movies. And that is seen in another thing like the Animatrix, where they took plot points and um other stories that would be before the Matrix even happened and after the Matrix happened, and telling, just previews of all this other stuff that you would go, yo, that would be dope in a movie form. Why won't you do that? Instead, we get this. Like, it's just not really not good. I'm trying to think if I got anything else to say. Oh, Jada Pinkett Smith is back. She's terrible in this. Neil Patrick Harris is in this movie as the kind of new analyst of the Matrix, the new head of the Matrix. He's fine as far as his acting goes, but he's really doing nothing here. There is no creativity in this movie as well. There is really no new creativity here. There is no new, like how we had bullet time with the first movie, or the whole CG stuff with the Agent Smiths in the second movie, or the mech fights, the mech warrior fights in the third movie. Like there is nothing here that really speaks, yo, they're breaking ground. They're giving you something new with the Matrix. There's none of that here. Yeah, I just found this movie to be all out boring, all out bad, and just not fun to watch. And yeah, like I said, this is a 1.5 star, maybe 2 star movie. Like this is pretty damn bad. So yeah, that is my Matrix review. Um, I'm going to have some other stuff coming up soon. Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, and word up. Peace.